Shane.
G'day, and welcome to Mark and Sam After Work. Today I want to do a video on this rifle that you see here in front of us. This rifle is, listen, it's one that I alluded to just a week ago in talking about this cartridge that's in front of us, which is, for those people, most people guessed right, but is the 408 Shytac. And I suppose it's a lot more than a cartridge that we're actually testing. We have this big platform in front of us. Now, you've seen it before on the channel, but I actually want to go through a little bit of a story with this one here and explain a little bit about what it's doing here. This rifle is called the AMAP. It's the AMAP-MC, which is its designation in the way of it's a rifle made for anti-material, anti-personnel and a military concept. So this is a military extreme long-range sniper rifle, is what this was set out as a military endeavour to go with. And it actually is built by Gareth Crook over at GCPD, or GC Precision Developments, which is what Gareth's firearms manufacturing company's name is. And I'm not sure exactly when he built this and manufactured it, so it is manufactured, everything on what you're looking on here, other than the scope and a few little bits and pieces. But the action, the chassis, the whole bits and pieces, the whole design, the concept of the design, the bits and pieces are what Gareth came up with as two fundamental things. One was, as said, there's a military endeavour that he was heading down the road of, but also it was to showcase what his company and he is capable, his manufacturing processes are capable of doing. And one thing that I've known from Gareth, I suppose he reached out to me, or I reached to him. I've forgotten the beginning of our relationship. This is over 3 years ago. At that stage, this rifle was already together and going through the processes of testing and development from there. And in our start of a relationship, it's something that Gareth spoke to me about. And from that point, I've been involved in some of the test and development to go with this rifle. So it is that sort of platform in the fashion of it is where he can showcase what he does, but he's also testing his systems and bits and pieces. So there's little constant upgrades, improvements and bits and pieces. And this is the stage we're at right now. Now, I suppose I'll go through what that rifle is in the way of the things or the major features it brings to the table. And apart from a great big brute of a thing, it really is a military, really well-built thing with the way Gareth does, and probably the thing that stands out to me about him and his company is the choice of materials, the coating of materials, the tolerance of machining, the processes in his design and manufacturing process are, I'd say close to second to none. Very, very high quality and puts a lot of thought into it. Overthink some parts of it, you might say, in some fashions, but what we end up with on the outside of it, the products you got are very, very thoroughly thought out. Not the type of guy to use Cerakote and those sort of coatings, much more down the road of nitriding and hard anodizing and from, like I said, material choices to coating choices with titanium and various grades of aluminium and steel and hardening processes, all very thoroughly done. Had to step up to another whole level to go through his own action, but it's more than just a action as to another Remington 700 clone or anything like that, because this action incorporates the AMAP. The second bit of that is the MC, and the MC bit is multi-caliber. But this is quite a bit different from a quick change barrel in the way I've done it. This is in the way he's done it. It's actually a takedown barrel, which means multi-caliber, but I suppose I'll explain that a little bit more. You see there are 3 bolts here. Well, let me show you something. This here is another 4-end. And this is how it actually changes. This is how it is a multi-caliber. I'll pull off that little protector there. This actually changes the caliber by changing the whole 4-end. It has this lower handle, which I'll get into in a minute, but it has this lower handle which is part of a bit of a locating process as well as a carry handle option. But the way this thing actually works is that this part here is, well, I suppose there's a couple of things. One, if you look in the end of it, you'll see that there's the 3-lug system, which is what the bolt is. So the way this one does it, that's not that uncommon. For the bolt, when it goes forward, it engages into the barrel. This is actually called a barrel extension, but actually engaged in there. So none of the quick change piece is involving the actual strength of the action. The strength of the action is all encapsulated in the front here. The bit that's probably most unusual is the way this works. I'll put that down so I'm not just carrying it in front of everybody. The way this works is there is a socket which is free floating. I won't get too involved inside here, but it is semi-free floating, which means that the way it attaches to things, it doesn't cause any distortion to anything when you actually tension it up. These three nuts are the tension point. There's slips in the front and you do it up with a tension. I'll show you what I'm talking about there. Little tension wrench like this system here. You undo these 3 bolts. Like that, half a turn. So you undo the 3 bolts, you take your bolt out, then you pull it apart. I won't do it here right now. I set it up on the ground on its buttstock to do that. Pull that piece out, and then you grab the same barrel which we've just taken down, put it back together, or your next caliber, you slide that in, locate it, slide it in, put that back down again. Close your bolt, that'll make sure everything's in the right place, and then take your little tension wrench, nip, 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 click, 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 and I always do them again. As with any multi-bolt tension, always do a sequence and double check them. That's the process, a little tension wrench like that, and then that's in there. And because of this dead straight surface, no threads, no lock nuts or anything like that, there's no torquing to happen. This has to bolt back precisely to the 0.001 millimeters type thing to exactly the same place. Hard, this is nitrided steel. Actually, no, I think this is aluminium. I don't know the product, let's not talk about what I don't know. This piece here is clamped, it's hardened, all dead smooth, dead flat, has the clamp back to exactly the same place. So it means consistency from pulling it to pieces and putting it back together is going to be second to none. Work really, really well. I'll put this one down. Well, I should show this one here. This is the other cartridge that we're shooting. And that is that there. If you look in the fine detail, the way Gareth's done it is this little sandwich plate has the caliber on it. So this is the 375 Shytac. This is with a carbon fiber barrel. We've shot it before, but now we've gone for some ELR testing I want to do, we've gone to one of my muzzle brakes on the front of it. So it's one of the things that I suggested Gareth we do for the testing I want to do out in the dirt and the dust and the paddock that I do here. He also put the spigot for our bipod system on the front of it. But you can see on both these, it has a co-signed, I would have had to say it, but basically this is a 45 MOA rail and this is a 45 MOA rail, which means they're dead flat and they line up together, exactly the same angle. And then the bottom, a Picatinny mount on the bottom as well, for running Picatinny mount if you want to, down the bottom. And that's how I actually shot it. I ran this one just with the normal Atlas bipod. This one here, the 408, I shot with my bipod on the front of it. Let me get out of the road. So that's the system that's probably the most unique part of this system. I think there's, the bolt hookup, that side of thing. There's a few multi-calibers like that, but the way it's something that changes the whole fore end over. And I suppose to me, the most, the bit that stands out the most would be the consistency you're going to get out of that. Some of the quick change barrels and things I've used, when you go through either how they bolt back together, how dead straight they are, to how they deal with temperature after you've run a few rounds, I generally find with that sort of system, there's a little bit, there's a positive of the multi-caliber you get out of them, or of the takedown side you get out of them, but there's a negative through their long-term consistency, whether that's over a few rounds or that's how they bolt back together with re-zero and all that sort of stuff. And this system here really engineeringly answers that. I've only done the preliminary parts of testing. What I've seen has been perfect. But that's what I'm up to. Some testing and development.
Santa. Just to the left of center.
Awesome.
To a pop. Just below that one.
With the thing, so when I say development, I make suggestions to Gareth. He's the designer, he's the manufacturer, this is his baby, but we still talk and listen, and certainly that's where he's up to try and make it as much as it can be. Now, the rest of the rifle, I'll go through it in a little bit more detail. I suppose the other important feature, put that cap back on there. This is, like I said, designed to showcase what they could do, and to a degree, I suppose you've got to look at this as scalable technology, a scalable system. So I mean, this could be in a small rifle, this could even be in a larger rifle. I'll remind you, we're right up at the top there of what a rifle can be. But it is designed to where it can show it off in a case of all the features. This has a folding buttstock with a nice strong release system here. That, it's not going to get in the road of anything, that comes around, clips over the top, folds away, and obviously when you break it down, pull it to pieces, then there's a nice little lump with your scope on to put in the case and put the other thing on. If when you're talking about large rifles, then anyone who knows that getting them in normal rifle cases is tricky. This will go in like this, just in a folding side of things, or you can pull it in half and put it into 2 cases or whatever it is, depending on what you're suiting. Obviously, if you scale this, this turns into different things at different sizes. If they built the same sort of thing in a 6.5 Creedmoor with these features, then all the same qualities with sizes that are appropriate. Just pull that off there, bring it back around. The lockup system, something Gareth worked on, super strong lockup, very positive, really no flex, turns into behaving like a solid rifle stock, which is something that I've been through. Another feature they tend to find, generally in precision rifles, the likes of the foldability tends to be a little negative. There's harmonics and bits and pieces that can induce rather than having a fixed stock, or rather than having something solid. The way this locks up, and from the testing I've seen, that isn't going to be an issue with this design. Time will tell. I'm never say never, but like I said, this is done in a fashion to show it off, and a very thorough, strong system is done over here. Come back to the buttstock, fully adjustable in both a knob over here to be able to adjust elevation, over the back here adjustable with a wheel to be able to wind in and out for the length of pull, and fully adjustable butt pad. And also notice the butt pad is right up at that for the line of push in the right place. And the way this thing's shot for something that hits pretty hard, and I'll go through that just briefly. We've got the 425 grain projectile was traveling just under 3,000 feet per second, so fair bit of energy going on with that. As you can see, this thing hitting target is hitting a little bit like it's trying to punch through that 16 mil hard ox, so that was hitting nice and hard on that side of it. And the other one over here, which is the 375, that was running at just under the 3200, or I think it was 3160 is what it was running at with this 350 grain projectile, so lots of energy going on with that. And to the point where we shot both on both and did a little bit of testing in between them. Even the last one that actually broke the bolts off of my new heavy plate down there, delivering similar energy. Actually, the 350 grain and the 420 with the different speeds, just delivering similar energies at target there, but a little bit too much for my quick release clamp system there. I'll have to step it up to another level because, like I said, sheared bolts off. Lots of energy going on, but I think that's the rest of it. I suppose I'll go through more details as we go on with this rifle, but I suppose the thing I want to come back to is this bit in the middle here, this handle. When I first spoke to Gareth, or no, not when I first spoke to Gareth, like I said, it's been nearly 3 years that we've been on and off with what we've been doing with this thing here. The last time when we went with a new caliber. Now what I'm talking about there is this wing, the first testing I did was with the 375, and testing how the lockup went and all the bits and pieces, and going through some of the testing on that side of it. This time around we went to go with a different cartridge, because this platform here is really designed for 3 different cartridges, which is the 375 Shy-Tac, the 408 Shy-Tac, and stepping up to the 416. Now, I suppose a couple of bits to go into that. One is, which comes back to this handle. The first time I saw the rifle, then I had the M200 came to mind. For those that don't know the M200, the Shytac intervention, which was the first Shytac rifle, the actual sort of proper one right back in the beginning, a fair while ago, that had this handle here. So when I had a choice of, there's a few rifles that have this handle here, but it's still harken back to me. So when I had a choice another cartridge, the 408. Also, I haven't shot the 408, but the 408 is what came to mind. So I'm the reason that we're shooting the 408 at the moment, because I really saw that and that was my suggestion. And like I said, I haven't shot it before. The bit that also that goes into in the 416, yes, this isn't just multi-caliber in the, or multi-cartridge, however you want to put that, in the changeover, in the breakdown and changeover of the fore end of the rifle. What it does, there's two things it does in that, is that the changeover of the fore end of the rifle means that you can run different bipod systems, different barrel weights, different complete setups on the frontier, actually, depending on what you're trying to do. Short barrel, open barrel, that sort of stuff, all that is able to happen through the fact that we have a changeover point here and we're changing the whole fore end, not just the barrel. But the other detail to incorporate that is this bolt, which I'll take it out so you can see that a bit clearer. On the top here, a unique feature which I had, no doubt it's on other rifles, I haven't seen it before, is the bolt release is up, out of the road up here, up here. This is the bolt release up here. This is the little bolt, This, with not too much manipulation, comes to where you can change over the whole bolt head. Quite complex. It has not just 3-lug, effectively it's a 6-lug bolt head, so lots and lots of strength in it. It's obviously got huge size for it. If anything, Garrett has over-engineered this side of things. This, like I said, with a military endeavour, this is designed to go hard and in the fashion of to really cope with everything. You can see I've only just been out shooting it. I haven't even gone to cleaning this yet. I'm straight in here to talk about it. All this stuff done very, very thoroughly, from hardening processes to material choices to hammers, all the rest of it. I suppose to me, it's the first time I've been that close involved with someone who's taken on this level of it. This is his own design. From the way the bolt head works to the spigot and socket arrangement for the multi-caliber side of things. This is something that Gareth has designed from scratch. In the way of put it together as to what he wanted to end up with for something that's going to cover all that. I suppose the bit I would say is that you're probably going to find, well, there will be bits and pieces that are similar to things, not so much out of something going through and cherry picking ideas from places, but a real true gun enthusiast going through and making sense of things as to make it work the best for his, and then for him to design it as he could see it to make it work. So what I'm looking at here is stuff that is just really thoroughly done. I should say, in looking at it, when I first saw this, I thought that bolt was a bit stubby, a bit short and stubby. It still, to me, looks a bit that way, but in using it, no, not at all. It functions, it works exactly like I would hope it to. It feels really nice. It really operates, functions with the brass really nicely and smoothly, and more so than anything, I would say, this action, this is like glass, they say, just super smooth, really nice, goes in nicely, has a nice feel about it on every level, especially for something that is as much of a heavy duty piece as what we're looking here. Anyway, I suppose that's about it. As for there's bits and pieces that I've got a fair bit to show as we go forward in the season. The testing I did today was basically the beginning of this time round. This is the first time we've seen the 408 barrel. We're doing a bit of load development, a bit of testing things. I want to go through and thoroughly check what it is to pull it to pieces, put another one in, pull that to pieces, put that one back in, and check the return to zero side of things. As said, in an engineering format, that I can't see a better way to do it. That is really, really thorough. From what I've seen so far, spot on. I am out in varying conditions, and at this stage I am testing, like I said, setting up loads, working things out, new barrels. That's the other feature about that other one there is a proof research in a carbon fibre barrel. We've actually shot that one before with a different muzzle brake on it. Now the rifle's gone to another level. It's shooting really, really well. I was really happy with that. We're down to under half MOA accuracy on our first time out with it. This one here, we're in a similar place on the accuracy side of it. This barrel's a little different. I've shot one like this before, but this is fully nitrated. So that means the inside, the rifling is nitrated. And nitrating is a hardening process, making things super hard. So in theory, going to take the rifling and the barrel wear and reduce it a lot. So you're not going to do a lot of running things in. There's not a lot of bedding in and that sort of stuff. That hardness is going to let it happen. But it means that it's going to then, in theory, last a lot longer, deal with things a lot better. I really, listen, I'm not one that wears out barrels. I don't know if I'm going to see differences there, but it's still testing it, and we are in full durability. Gareth has done things up using our muzzle brakes, which means that they're just very nice to shoot. I like my muzzle brakes, and I really like to look at the rifle with it on as well. Our bipod system with a spigot, for those people who are saying those are skinny little legs, they work fine. I am actually doing up a heavier top section to take the bigger Atlas bipod legs, if nothing else aesthetics, but also it's a nice place to test it. And beyond that point, the last thing is on top here is the Valdata scope. It's probably the first place. These are great scopes. They're probably with a 40mm tube. They look pretty heavy on most rifles. On this one here, it looks about as home as, you know, a duck on a duck pond. This really does look nice and neat and tidy. And this rifle is super nice to shoot. Well, the last bit I should say, which is different from when we shot it last time, is upgraded to this Kelvin Elite trigger here with the fully adjustable shoe on it, that sort of stuff. Really nice trigger. Probably a little bit light for me at the moment, 3/4 pound, but in a format like this, still really comfortable to use. This is also set up for magazine feed, which we've tested like that previously, using this big magazine. Really more for your ball ammo, you know, your metal jackets, your Sierra Match Kings and that sort of stuff. Not quite so suited to your target ammo like this. These are both cutting edge projectiles, so they tend to not be as happy, and we're really looking after the tip and things. So most of the testing you'll see me doing will be single feed, but this is designed to run a full magazine feed for those people who want to run the bolt and really start pounding targets, really more the close to mid-range to long-range sort of stuff, not the ELR stuff. But still, this rifle's designed, like I said, we're on the military endeavour and really about trying to showcase the quality of Gareth's work. Anyway guys, that's it for today on this rifle. Thank you Gareth for letting us help out in this situation. It's great to be able to use a piece of equipment like this. Leave your comments, your thoughts below. Don't forget to like, share and subscribe. Help our channel, help us grow. And besides that, thank you very much for checking in, and we'll catch you next time.